Alright, so with the Grim Dawn Season 6 coming up, I would like to look at some builds that I would probably recommend, as well as the builds that I'm planning on playing. This is all before the Season 6 update comes on, so this is all subject to change, and I'll make an updated video for this as well as what builds I'm planning to play will be updated. But the first recommended build is the tried and true Warlord. This build is ultra tanky. It's fast from start to finish. You start through normal just using like force wave. You just physical force wave. Try to get an obsidian. As soon as you get an obsidian cleaver, it's easy. You're still using Blitz with Milton's cask. Get the Shambler's Heart to do add more force wave damage. And you're just kind of pushing through until you can get all the Blitz gear. Rest of this gear is just kind of what I was using on the other stuff. The only things that really matter are the cleaver, the helmet, and the necklace. If you get these three items, you're perfectly fine. For this build, you're just going to be using max out force wave, rending force, and internal trauma. You'll have Blitz on here with blindside as your main extra thing. Maxing out field command, or like soft capping field command and squad tactics. Scars of Battle. You just have Virus Might for a movement skill. You have Celestial Presence, and you're using Divine Mandate as your exclusive skill because it saves points because you've got to go to Celestial Presence anyway. 6 points into Resilience is nice because that's a good circuit breaker. Offensive ability, health, reduced reflected damage. This is very important early on, but like once you get more gear and other stuff, you don't need this as much. You can find other ways to get reduced reflective damage. Ascension, just kind of 1 pointer or a few points in there. It's really nice to have, but not so mandatory for leveling. And yeah, just starting out, this build has pretty good health. There are 0 affixes on any of these gears, by the way, because this is just the base idea of throwing things together. And then when you transition into Ultimate, because you go normal to Ultimate in the league without going to Elite, transition into Blitz as your main skill, and you're going to be using Righteous Fervor as kind of your spam between skills. Getting the Bargle's Root, which you can farm in the dungeon. It's not as good. Like you can get double rares okay in the dungeon, but like with the vendor farm, but you cannot get triple rares very easily. Like you can get a chance to get a triple rare once per game session, and after that you can't get another one. Still got the helmet, but we've changed the necklace to the Bloodbrier's Thorn, which reduces Blitz's cooldown more. Using Warden's Fortress now. Wendigo's Glare. You need to do Gargle anyway. You can do this in normal. Gargle will be the highest level. Like even in normal, I believe Gargle scales up to level 94. So you can get the best rings in normal without having to worry about him being ultra dangerous. These give offensive ability, physical damage, bleeding resistance, and plus to Righteous Fervor, which is our kind of filler ability. You want to make sure you have Dreeg's Pants because they give you offensive ability, and offensive ability is king in a physical build because you need to crit to get your thing to proc. These shoulders are pretty nice because they convert vitality to physical damage. You'll get some vitality on your gear sometimes. Plus they give base offensive ability and blitz as well as resilience. You really just have to farm gargoyles for these. Going into the new dungeon is probably the best way to farm these. Do it in normal, of course. And then, of course, max out Blitz, max out Blindside. Blindside will help you crit more because it's 37 or 370 reduced DA. This, get your flat physical reduction. Just a few points in Overguard, a few points in shield training. Scars of Battle gives you close to 100% armor absorption with just 2 components. So that's really nice to have. Makes you a lot tankier. A few points in this for extra armor. 1 point in each of the procs, the default, like the weapon pool skills, so that you can proc off of Righteous Fervor. Maxing out this as much as you can because you want the flat offensive ability from it. Energy regeneration is also kind of nice because this build will be starved on energy. A few points in Ascension. Having this up is nice too because plus 4% offensive ability, but no really need to put more. As before, putting more points into Rebuke is, welcome. Like going between Consecration and Rebuke are the two things that you would put your points into, depending on how much reduced reflective damage you have. As far as devotions go, standard devotions kind of for physical in a lot of ways. Good Tortoise, Dryad to get that heal and bonus armor, Assassin's Mark to get that minus Phys Res. Pushing down here, getting Empty Throne for resistances, like especially CC resistances. Getting Crab for another defensive layer. Getting Scepter for some more internal trauma and physical damage. It's pretty good for internal trauma. You could change this out to something else. But the percent physical damage, percent health, armor, defensive ability, and internal trauma is really nice. Because Blitz does have a lot of internal trauma damage. Getting this on your Guardians because they'll proc it all the time. And this reduces the enemy's offensive ability, so that makes you a little more tanky, and it gives them impaired aim, which is really nice. You don't have any fumble on this build, unfortunately. More armor from this, health regen. Putting this on Vire's Might, I'd probably actually put this on Righteous Fervor. This keeps you cleansed. It's really nice. It just removes all the debuffs on you every 10 seconds. And it also removes the debuffs on the enemies. Gives you some resistances, CC resistances, health. It's just overall a really good thing to set up to going into this. And this just a lot of armor, a lot of health, and still, a lot of physical damage. This makes you really tanky. Plus the percent cunning is really nice in this build. And this proc right here, it doesn't, like, it's that 20% reduced target's physical damage is so powerful. It's not as good as like just reduced target's damage, but this stacks on top of Warcry. So you got reduced damage plus reduced physical damage. So they're going, so enemies that you're hitting and that are hitting you are going to be doing far less damage. Plus, you have a very high base armor rating at 3,300 without any affixes. Again, I'm not using any affixes on this gear. So this is a Warlord starting build. This is one of the ones I might recommend for a lot of new players. I'll put the Grim Tools as well as the one that they've released on the top 20 softcore builds. I would probably take out the Chains of Anguish and put something else in for this. But yeah, this is one of the top 20 builds, and I'd change it out a little bit. But I'll put all 3 links in the description below. The next one will be up soon.